Good morning, Year 8. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Please can you write the date and the title, How to Write an Essay. For you do now, I'd like you to answer the question, what do these characters all have in common? Scrooge, Miss Havisham, Thomas Gradgrind, Josiah Bounderby, Bill Sikes, and the Marquis. Pause the video for a few moments to complete the do now. For this lesson, you will need a pen and pencil and your exercise book. So, to review the do now, what is it that all these characters have in common? So they are all presented in a villainous manner. If you didn't get this down, please write it down now. Okay, so during today's lesson, we are going to learn how to write an essay. Step 1 is understanding the question. Please write that down. So the question we're going to be looking at today is, how do Dickens' villainous characters provide an insight into Victorian society? Please write that down as well. So we need to consider, what techniques does Dickens use? How does he make you feel in response? How does he show this? What evidence do you have? And consider what we know about the society at the time and how the characters' personalities may have changed as a result. So this question requires you to explore the presentation of Dickens' villains in the light of the society they lived in. You need to consider how society impacted their personality and their behaviour. So step 2 is planning your content. Again, please do make a note of that. Planning is really important. You need to think carefully through your answer before you start to write. What I'd like you to do now is write down all the villains we have come across, highlighting the 3 you feel most confident about and that you would feel happy writing about. You have 5 minutes to do this now. Okay, so these are some of the characters you may have come up with. Scrooge, Miss Havisham, Thomas Gradgrind, Josiah Bounderby, Magwitch, Wackford Squeers, Bill Sikes and the Marquis. And for example, you may have highlighted Scrooge, Bill Sikes and the Marquis. So what I'd like you to do next is create your own mind map about your chosen characters and how they're presented in the extracts you've looked at. Try to include some references to society to help you later on. You may wish to look back at your notes and extracts. You have 10 minutes to create your mind map about your 3 chosen characters. Okay, so this is what your mind map may look like. So I've done one for Scrooge, Bill Sikes and the Marquis. So we've got 2 acts of murder. Sikes kills Nancy and the Marquis doesn't care that he ran over a child. Physical descriptions always represent the characteristics. We've got evidence of being cruel to others. For instance, Scrooge doesn't consider the feelings of Bob Cratchit or his family. Social class, and you can consider how the characters are potentially affected by poverty. So the Marquis and Scrooge are upper class and have no awareness of how the lower class live, and both are selfish. Sikes is from poverty. He doesn't have any money. However, there are characters that Dickens creates that are poor and virtuous. Sikes is consistently violent. Scrooge learns about the lives of the poor and redeems himself by the end, so you may consider whether he is a true villain or not. He doesn't commit murder or violent acts like the other 2. So this is the kind of mind map you should have created. So after that, you have to do step 3, which is planning your argument. So please could you write down step 3, plan your argument. All good essays have a clear argument. This is because they need to convince the person reading it that your answer is correct. Looking at the notes you have made on your mind map, ask yourself what draws all the information together. I would like you to write 1 sentence that sums this up. You have 3 minutes to do this. Pause the video now. So, for instance, you may have written, Dickens shows that the villainous characters are often linked to the imbalance of wealth. It doesn't matter if you wrote something slightly different. The key thing is that your argument's got to link together everything that you write. So next is step 4, which is planning your structure. Please jot that down. Now that you've decided your argument, you need to work out what points you are going to make and what order you're going to put them in. Your next task is, in bullet points, write down what each paragraph is going to discuss. This may be a good opportunity to find your quotations. And it should look something a bit like this. So introduction, you have your argument, and then you set out what you're going to write in each paragraph and the conclusion. So please take 10 minutes to do that now. It should look something like this. Introduction. Dickens shows that the villainous characters are often linked to the imbalance of wealth. Paragraph 1. Bill Sikes, murder of Nancy, linked to crime and victims. He has always led a life of crime due to the lack of opportunities in Victorian England. Sikes is cruel, and as readers we sympathise with Nancy and other characters he mistreats. He has no redeeming qualities. Of all the horrors that rose, with an ill scent upon the morning air, that was the foulest and most cruel. Paragraph 2. The Marquis takes advantage of his social position and abuses power. He is cold and unfeeling. As readers, we feel sorry for the civilians of France and understand why they are angry. Monsieur the Marquis ran his eyes over all of them, as if they had been mere rats come out of their holes. Paragraph 3. Scrooge. Villainous at the start, does not make any attempt to be understanding of the Cratchits. However, he is forced to confront how they live and make changes. As readers, we forgive him of his previous behaviour because we know he will change for the better. Squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. 2. A Merry Christmas, Bob, said Scrooge, with an earnestness that could not be mistaken. Conclusion. Whilst all the villains are self-absorbed and don't engage with the world around them, through the character of Scrooge, Dickens shows that when a villainous character takes positive actions, they are capable of change. Those who don't are ultimately punished. The Marquis is witness to a revolt, and Sikes dies as a result of an accidental hanging. Their actions are often due to the lack of equal opportunities and wealth in Victorian society. So make sure you have a detailed plan for each of your paragraphs. If you don't feel you have enough detail in your plan, please pause the video to add to it now. Okay, so step 5 is writing your essay. Using your planning, I would like you to write as much of your essay as you can, and do that until the end of the lesson. Don't worry, I know that today's focus is mostly on planning, so I don't expect you to write a full essay, just do as much as you can, at least one paragraph. And that is the end of today's lesson. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable, and I look forward to speaking to you next time.